Or good afternoon if you're on.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Want to welcome you to this today's webinar. We're going to focus on how you can move leads through the funnel. When I talk about the funnel, it's actually your funnel of the new people and your current contacts and leads that are in your pipeline that you've been working with. So what we're going to cover today in our agenda is the fact that home shopping has really changed the course of the last couple of years, and buying habits of today's consumers have changed as well. So I'm going to briefly go through that. I'm going to also go through some of the tactics for you to overcome the top 4 consumer stalls or roadblocks. Now, I like to not necessarily call these a stall or a roadblock, but I know that that will give you that visual. I kind of look at these 4 things have to be addressed before someone can successfully sell their home or put their home on the market. That comes into 4 categories: time, money, motivation, and self-esteem. So I'm going to provide you some content so that you can address those 4 areas of time, money, motivation, and self-esteem, as well as we'll talk a little bit about scripts and templates to accelerate someone's timeline. Okay? So I love those visuals. How often do you stare in front of your computer or stare in front of your phone thinking, what does this person want? Like, what do I say? What do I email? Okay, what should I do? I mean, this is probably a very common look for some real estate professionals. You got a lead. What the heck do I do with it? What do I say? What do I not say? What questions do I ask? What do I put in an email? Okay, how do I get them to become more serious? Okay, there are definitely different ways and different approaches that an agent should take. If you take the wrong approach, okay, then you are kicking that lead out of your funnel and into somebody else's funnel. So we're going to talk a lot about the approach to take, okay, embracing technology, all right, utilizing the right approach to keep that lead or that consumer or that client or that contact, whatever verbiage you want to use, keeping them in your pipeline and eliminating them from going to another pipeline. Because if you use the incorrect approach, guess what happens? They go and create a timeline with a different agent, all right? So this is what your pipeline looks like. How often, and in fact, there's actually 3 phases of this pipeline, all right? Phase 1 is this above area. Let me get my highlighter. Phase 1 is right in here, okay? Phase 2 is usually in here, and this is phase 3, all right? Well, what phase do you really like to work with people? What phase? Do you want to work with people in phase 3? Do you want to work with people in phase 2? Or do you want to work with people in phase 1? In order to have, all of us want to work with people in phase 3, right? Okay. So what happens if, so the approach, you feel very confident when you meet someone and they're in stage 3. That's why you got into real estate. You're negotiating homes. Okay, you're a strong listing agent. But what happens if you meet someone in phase 1 and phase 2? How do you keep them in your pipeline and not somebody else's? That's what we're going to talk about. Okay? All right, so understand, if you utilize the incorrect approach, guess what happens to that lead? You are kicking them out and going somewhere else. I want to take our first poll question, which is, how many leads do you currently generate each and every month? Okay, how many leads currently do you generate each month? Is it less than 20? Is it 21 to 40? Is it 41 to 60? Or is it more than 61? Okay. Now, if you are generating 40, 50, 60 leads, then you're getting leads throughout this funnel. And so that's what we want to cover here. So we're up to about 45% of people have voted. Please take 2 minutes here. Just take 2 seconds. I'm sorry, and vote. Is it less than 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60? Okay. Almost done, everybody? We're up to 60%. Quickly, 5, 4, 3. I want to share them. All right, let's close them. Let's share it. Here's what it looks like, okay? 62% generating less than 20, 24% generating 21 to 40, about 10% generating 41 to 60, and then 6% generating over 60. All right, let me tell you why we talked about this, okay? With the correct approach, let's talk about those people, okay, with 60 leads a month. That's consistently now, each and every month. with the correct approach, right, you will have between 32 and 40 of them will be actual prospects, or what I like to call contacts. Okay, 32 to 40 of them, which means with the correct approach, between 32 and 40 of them will be on your website every day, every week. Okay, you guys would like that, right? When you are generating 60 leads a month, 32 to 40 of them will be on your website. Then from there, between 14 and 22, I call them in this category listings and buyers. These are people that are deeper phase 2, early phase 3. Deeper phase 2, early phase 3. Okay? These are people that are looking at homes, emailing you for more expertise. All right? Then from there, between, hold on, that was supposed to be a 5. Between 5 and 9 will actually become into transactions each and every month with the correct approach. When you consistently generate 60+ leads a month with the correct approach, you'll get 5 to 9 transactions each and every month. Think about that income. Now think about what happens if you're only generating 10 leads a month. With the correct approach, this is 4 to 6. This is 1 to 3. So you spend all your time with these people, but because of lack of inventory, oh, thank you. James had told me that I did not unpause the poll results. Sorry about that. So now you can see, James, I apologize, and everybody else, 60 leads will get you 5 to 9 transactions with the correct approach. But look at what happens if you're generating only 10. It will come down to you'll average 0 to 1 each and every month. It is impossible to have transactions without the number of leads that align with that transaction goal. So one of the things we talk about is if you use the incorrect approach, if you don't advance these people through this funnel, if you upset them, all right, if you use the wrong approach, you're kicking them out to another agent. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this timeline shortly, all right, but let's go on to the whys. Okay, and then I'm going to actually get into the weeds a little bit. Hey, you and I are very, very, very excited about real estate right now because it's back. This is no longer the time to survive real estate. You got to thrive. All right, so you got to shift your strategies. You got to become more aggressive. All right, when I say more aggressive in 2 areas: time and money. Time generating leads, and you got to go spend money generating leads as well, because more people are online. All right, and using this window, when I say this window, okay, to put their home on the market than ever before in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, okay? Because people are determining, is this my window of opportunity to put my home on the market because I have enough equity in it finally, all right? Can I take advantage of multiple offers, multiple bids, and low inventory to get the value of the home and that price that I want, okay? So as we know, here are some of the characteristics of today's market. One, we know there's fewer listings, very low levels of inventory, right? And people are competing. Prices are going up. Most areas are in the double-digit increases, 10, 11, 12%, right, from 12 months ago. Multiple offers. Bidding wars are back. You have to be able to prepare your potential buyer with the current conditions of today's market. Just like communicate the excitement of a potential seller as to what they're going to expect. How are they going to choose who gets that home? Is it just going to be the top dollar? Okay, so being able to understand that. Home sales, as we know, they're selling within days of being listed. Okay, there are limited financing options when compared to 5, 6, 7 years ago. And on the flip side, you got to take advantage of really the lowest interest rates we've seen in a long time. Okay? But look at your challenges. You've been so used to just generating leads as referrals. Okay? I believe in order to market-proof your business, you got to have 3, 4, 5 different sources of leads. 1, referrals. We all know that, right? 2, print. Print's not dead, okay? you can actually target and farm your specific zip codes, your specific neighborhoods down to the demographic. You can. When you're a market leader customer, they do that for you. Okay? I also think Craigslist is hot, but you have to utilize the right approach. You have to be seen on Google. You have to be seen on Bing. You have to be seen on Yahoo. Why? Because that's where people shop as well. You and I shop on Google, Bing, and Yahoo all the time too. So you got to be seen there as well. Okay? So generating leads is a challenge. Okay? And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But the two buckets we're going to talk about today really is engaging leads and converting leads. Right? So how do you move them through your funnel? Okay? There's several different ways, but I'm going to talk about some specifics as well. As we know, to be successful in business, it doesn't matter if it's a laundromat, a dry cleaners, a restaurant, or in this case, real estate, the three things you have to have, the three pillars that you have to have in order to be successful is right here. Allowing today's consumer to find you, enabling today's consumer to connect with you, okay, and allowing today's consumer to stay involved with you. Now notice what I said there. Who's in control there? The agent, the business owner, the agent, or the consumer? It's the consumer. So notice what I didn't say. It's not the agent needs to go find people, the agent needs to connect with people, and the agent needs to stay involved with people. That's not the way the business is run now. The consumers you have to allow and enable consumers to find you. You have to allow consumers to connect with you, and then you got to enable those consumers to stay involved with you. No matter what source of your leads are, Google, Yahoo, blogging, Facebook, Twitter, Craigslist, your neighbors, referrals, any type of source, what's in the middle right there? Where are all those arrows pointing to? Does anybody see that? Where are all those arrows pointing to? All those arrows are pointing to a house or a store. That's your website. Okay? You got to get people to your website no matter where. Think about all your referrals. Think about anyone that knows you as a realtor. Where are they gathering and collecting information? Where are they looking at homes? Where are they finding inventory trends? Where are they looking for specific school test scores? Where do they view the mapping as where it relates to their home and future homes? Where are they getting all that information? Are you forcing them back online to other websites? Or are they utilizing your website? Do you think they're really typing in yourwebsite.com? Or do you have technology that brings people to your website? How do you get them to your website? How often do they go to your website? In order to get them through the funnel, and we're going to address those 4 gaps, you have to have a website. And let me rephrase that. Everyone and their mom has a website. Okay? You have to have specific things within a website. Your website is the most important tool in your entire business. It's actually how you make money and thrive in today's business. It's how you are able to juggle 1,000 people in your pipeline with the right systems in place. Your website should generate 50+ leads a month. Your website should be the destination for everyone who knows you, their destination, their store, to see listings, to get school information, to get neighborhood information, to see inventory trends, to get the update value of their home as to how it compares to other homes on the neighborhood. That's your website. Okay? You can't just have a website if it doesn't have these 5 things we're going to talk about here briefly. But let me just, and feel free to chat in, where do you drive your leads? Do you drive them to your website, or do they go back online to other websites? Do you force them to go to Google? Do you force them to go to Zillow? Do you force them to go to Trulia, Realtor.com, RE/MAX, Keller Williams, Century 21, Exit? Do you force them back to where all the competition is? When you get a lead, your referral, your favorite person that you're working with right now, where are they getting their information? On your website, or are you forcing them to view other websites? If I hit this topic too hard, does this make sense? Now, what I'll teach is a couple things here. Let me go backwards. I apologize. 7 days to better lead engagement. You get a lead. First of all, you got to respond fast, and you got to respond first, which I'll talk about in a second. But here's your game plan. You got to be able to send them listings. Okay? You have to be able to send them market information. You got to set them up on some sort of automated tool that communicates listings that match their criteria or price changes. They have to be notified when that occurs from an email. Okay? So some of you guys have been with Market Leader before. We teach this, your 7-day plan of attack, with what to do with leads once you get it. Okay? But since you're not with Market Leader right now, I'm not going to talk about it. So here, let's go back to what does success look like. Okay? Guess what? This doesn't surprise anybody, does it? 95% of home buyers gather and collect real estate information online. You and I do that too. If I gave you $1,000 and I said, hey, go buy a TV. Here's $1,000, go buy a TV. What's the first thing you're going to do? Are you going to walk into Best Buy or Video Only and think, okay, I got $1,000, which TV am I going to go buy? Okay, or are you going to go online before and start gathering and collecting information, looking at product reviews, deciding where the most value is, what store you're going to end up going to, what brand of TV you're most interested in? Is that what you're going to do? You bet. Okay? So you must have that online presence, but your website's not good enough if people aren't viewing it. How many people are on your site right now? How many people are viewing homes on your site right now? If you don't know, that's a problem. Okay? Timelines are different for leads. There's phase 1, there's phase 2, phase 3, and we're going to talk about that. But they may be just in phase 1 in the browsing phase when you first acquire them. Well, if you ask them the incorrect question, if you determine if your number one goal when you get a lead is to convert them, is to qualify them, is to make an appointment, what if they're in the browsing phase? What's their goal? They want to see listings. They want to see if it's even possible. Now you've kicked them out of your funnel. So how do you move your leads along? Service rather than sell. Okay. Confirm the information that you know rather than interview. If you pick up the phone or you attempt to email and you ask questions, you are selling, not servicing. And you lack the information that's needed in order to make a first impression. Okay? So how do you move your leads along? You have to understand where they fall on that timeline. And then you also have to identify demographics. Are they a baby boomer? Are they looking to downsize? Are they Gen X, looking to sell their home that they purchased 8, 9, 10 years ago, determining if they have enough equity, and then purchase a new home with more space? Okay. They all have, or are they Gen X, which means they're probably a first-time home buyer. All right. Let's go into the 4 real ways that you move your leads along. First of all is speed. You got to position yourself as the first agent to respond. If you are advertising on those sites that you're competing with other agents, do you know which ones I'm talking about? Do you know those companies who make you compete with everybody else? You got to be first to respond. And so one of the nice things I like about Market Leader is Market Leader's contact management system is mobile. Your CRM is now mobile. Imagine this, not in the office. Yeah, it's all the time. You're never in the office, right? You're out with family, you're out with friends, you're out at showings, you're out and about looking, and you get pinged, I got a lead. Immediately you push the button on your smartphone, and you can do everything from there. You can respond quick. You can push a button that calls. You can attach an email to it. You can attach a campaign to it that's specific, and you can push a few buttons that gets them back to your website. Think about that. Now you position yourself as first, and that's important for consumers, isn't it? Now these are the 4 things in order to have effective engagement. The 4 things you must execute is speed, insight, relevant content, and relevant brand. Insight, what does that look like? What homes they viewed, what homes they saved. How many pages did they look at on your website? How long were they there? What homes did they view multiple times? What homes did they skip over? What school information or inventory trends, what stats did they view that were important to them? You must have this insight. How do you separate browsers, people that are just in gather mode, from actual buyers? Okay? How do you know that? How do you know what to look for? And I misspelled that because I put know who is hoot. I meant hot. How do you know who's more active? How do you know who is more interested? Your contact management system must provide you with insight to know what is exactly happening on your website. Again, how many people are on your site? Who was there the longest today? Who viewed the most homes? Your contact management system must identify that, okay? Because you need to know what they experienced on your website, in your store, so you can provide them with content that's relevant. You know all they were looking at were homes that were in foreclosure or short sales. What are you going to do? Continue to send them homes that are foreclosed homes or short sales. Communicate about the process of putting an offer down on a foreclosed home or a short sale. Okay? Now that you've identified that's their area, everything you do has to be relevant to that. What if they're only looking at 4-bedroom, 2.5, 3 baths in the suburbs with some acreage? Can you afford to send them homes that don't match that type of criteria? You have to know that. Okay? Listings and market data that's relevant is a must. Then also, your campaigns, okay? You must have targeted campaigns that address these 4 things: time, money, self-esteem, or motivation. Those are their gaps, and I'll walk through that quickly. And then here, it's all about promoting your brand. We all know it's important to promote our brand. We've learned that from day one, okay, setting themselves apart from the competition. But here's how you really do it in today's time. Your website is your store. That's where all your inventory is held. When I say inventory, not your listings, but market data, school information, inventory trends, all of the listings from the MLS, that's your destination. That's your store. Imagine your favorite grocery store that doesn't have a pharmacy. What does that force you to do? Okay? It forces that person who uses that grocery store for all their shopping to go somewhere else that has a pharmacy. What if your favorite grocery store, if it's Costco, QFC, Safeway, Albertsons, whatever it is, what if they didn't have a meat section or a produce section or a dairy section? What would that force you to do? To go somewhere else, right? So it's all about your brand, your website. Your store must have everything located inside it, and then you got to know what aisles the consumers went up and down, what fruit they passed by on their way to purchase grapes or to pick up grapes or to pick up apples. You got to know what vegetables they like and what vegetables they don't. Why do you think that you and I get coupons all the time after we have visited stores? 2 reasons. 1, to get us back into that store, and 2, it just happens to be all the things that we are what? Recently purchased that we're interested in. That's relevant content. You got to utilize that in your business as well. Why is it important? Because consumers are on a timeline that you can't change. Okay? Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. If you look at it, for sellers, the total time is about 21 months. Now, don't stress on me. They don't get to you as a lead, and then you're like, oh, I got to wait on average 21 months. They're coming to you as a lead, usually in Phase 2 and Phase 3. Okay? But what part do you like? You want everyone in Phase 3. So it's important to keep them in your pipeline, though, in Phase 1 and Phase 2. All right? That's why having a contact management system is vital. Now, what information are consumers looking at online? Okay? Obviously, they're looking for specific pictures, details, homes on the market, market conditions, all those things we know, right? Well, here are their choices. They have Google, they have Bing, they have Yahoo, they have Yelp, they have Ask.com, they have Trulia, they have Zillow, they have Realtor.com, they have company-branded websites, they have Craigslist, they have all of these choices. So when you get a lead, in order to participate on their timeline, all right, in order to participate on that timeline, you got to be able to provide them with that information. Okay? Think about the consumer timeline. If you misidentify where they fall in this timeline, what happens? They go create a timeline somewhere else, don't they? Right? If you misidentify, if you assume they're in phase 3 when they're in phase 1, you're done. You've kicked them out of your pipeline, and now they're going to create a timeline somewhere else. Okay? If you act as if they're in phase 1 when they're actually in phase 3, guess what happens? They go create a timeline with another agent. What's the most valuable, what's the most important aspect of your business to be able to effectively work with consumers that are in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3? Your website. Because your website has to provide them with all of this information. Then you got to ask yourself, how do you get people to your website? Because if you don't get people to your website, look who wins. All those other choices win. So then after it, in order to advance them and accelerate their timeline, you got to be at the right place at the right time with the right information. Remember what I said, speed wins. Insight is a must. Content must come from you that's relevant, and then it's all about your brand. So you got to be at the right place at the right time with the right information for consumers, because if you're not, they're going somewhere else and creating a timeline, all right, with somebody else. So what does success look like? We're slowly going to get into it. It's all about getting them back to your website throughout this timeline, throughout this funnel, okay? Using speed, insight, relevant content, and make sure it comes from you. So what does that look like? It's your website. In order to move people through the timeline, through the process, through your pipeline, you got to have a website with these 6 things, or actually 5 things. It's got to be consumer focused and not agent focused. What does that mean? It can't be about you. It has to be, what do we know people want? Through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, what's the most important thing? Listings, right? Listings. How does let's say they're a potential seller. They're wondering about the value of their home and how it stacks up to other homes in the neighborhood. It's a must. And if they're a potential buyer, now they're looking at what homes match their criteria in the neighborhood that they're interested in. So why wouldn't you have listings on the front page of your website? So many agents make the mistake of making them check like 4, 5, 6 different boxes before they can see listings. So it's got to be consumer focused. Next thing, it's got to have a true IDX feed, Internet Data Exchange. A true IDX feed, which means all of the listings, not yours, all of the listings from your MLS has to be displayed right there on your site. Then it's got to have updated and accurate community information. It's got to have inventory trends, market analysis, neighborhood information right there on your site. Guess what? If you don't, and I'm not talking about links that drive them away, okay, if you don't have all that information, because that's what people want in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, right? Then you're forcing your consumers and your leads to go create timelines somewhere else. Okay? It's almost, and let me put it this way, if you have a link that says like school information, it sends them to schools.org, or you're using Market Snapshot or something like that, it's like having a sign, your QFC, and they come to the produce section and it says produce for produce, go down the street to Safeway. Anytime that you have a link on your site that drives them away, it's doing that same thing. The whole idea is to keep them on your site. The next one is a value proposition. How many of you guys ever had to deal with leads that were Disney characters. Did you guys ever get a Mickey Mouse, a Donald Duck, a Kermit the Frog, a Don't Call Me? Have you ever had those type of leads? I call them the Disney characters. They're really cool, aren't they? Okay, feel free to chat. Have you had a Disney character before? Okay, nice. Thank you for chatting in. Let me walk you through why you've had a Disney character. Agents who get Disney characters all the time, it's because the consumer doesn't trust the experience. The consumer, it's called forced registration. You go onto a website, you don't even get to see anything. You want to see listings, and what happens? A pop-up. And it forces you to put in a name. It forces you to put in an email address. And worse, it forces you to put in a phone number. So what does the consumer do? They don't know who gets this info. Remember, they're in phase 1, or they're in phase 2. Do they want a phone call? Maybe. But guess if they put their phone number in and someone calls, what's the agent want? Well, the agent wants to qualify them. The agent wants to make an appointment. The agent wants to get face-to-face. The consumer doesn't. So because of that forced registration, what does the consumer do? They put in fake information. They don't put fake info. They put non-contactable info. Now think about no registration. How many of you have a website but no one ever registers? Well, call me or contact me is not a lead capture. Okay? And when you don't have any way for the consumer to connect with you, and they just use it, what's that good for? Remember, your website has got to generate 50 leads a month. How does that do it? You allow today's consumer to register on your website to receive up-to-date and timely reports of two things: the value of their home once a month or once a quarter, a market report once a month, or listings in a specific community that match their specific criteria every day or every week. So you allow today's consumer to stay up to date with the information that's valuable for them in phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3, and that information is coming from you. Now do we get it? They visit your website, they view a couple of homes, they view market data, they view market reports, and then a pop-up comes up. They've had a good experience. Now it's asked to register. And guess what? Now you get to participate throughout phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 of theirs. That's what the correct mobile lead capture tool looks like. And then finally, the fifth must-have for your website, it's got to be connected to a contact management system. It's got to be integrated with the contact management system. Why? Because you got to get them back to your site. Why does QFC, Safeway, Costco, heck, Qdoba, why does everyone give you cards? Little punch cards, I'll give you a discount card. Why? To get them back into your store so they can collect data on you. They can collect insight on you. Why? So they can provide you with only content that's relevant and content from them to reestablish their brand. You got to run your business that same way. This is what I think is fun. So a couple of things. When you get a lead, here's what's important. You got to determine their timeline. How do you do that? By getting them back to your website. You do that so you can understand how they want to be communicated with and what content should be communicated with them. Where do they fall on that in those phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3? And when you have them continuing to come back to your site, guess what? You can guess accurately what demographic they fall into. Then you know what they need. Then you know what they want. Now you know how to communicate with them, what their motivation is. You have all that. Okay? Think about your store. Is it QFC? Is that where you shop? Is it Safeway? Is it Albertsons? Think about any of your store. Do they know your demographic? Do they know your frequency? Do they know what you like and what they don't like, what you don't like? You bet. Because they keep getting you back into your store. You have to be that same way. Because then, remember, consumers aren't searching for you online in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So it's imperative that you send them content that's relevant to them. And allow them to use your store. Your store is your website. so you can remain behind the wall of the internet. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? All right, let's talk about 4. You're going to call them objections. I'm going to call them areas that you must address. 4 areas you must address before someone can successfully sell a home or buy a home. You ready for them? Time, money, motivation, self-esteem. You must have checkboxes next to all 4 of these areas when you have cha-ching, transaction, commission. When there's only 3 or 4, they're not ready. And so if that means they're still in probably phase 3 or late phase 2. Guess what if happens if you keep addressing time? This is the time to buy. This is the time to buy. Multiple offers, low inventory. This is the time to put your home on the market. But they lack the motivation or the self-esteem. Will you ever get them to put that home on the market? No. So I look at these as gaps, and you got to create a bridge to eliminate that gap. Okay? So these are the 4 things. In all your emails, in everything you do, you must address one of these 4 things. You also have to determine which of these 4 things is their next gap. All right, so things to think about. What is prompting consumers to move or to put their home on the market? What made you call about that property today? What made you register on my website today? What made you inquire about that property? Hey, we're getting a ton of inquiries on that home today. What feature do you like the most? Do you need to sell the home that you're in currently before you purchase, before you buy? How long have you been thinking about this? How familiar are you, or do you know what's going on with the market currently? How familiar are you with the lack of inventory? So you have to address time, okay? And this is one of those ways. The second one is money. Oldest objection, right? When in doubt, it's money. All right? So let's talk about this. Most consumers think their credit's actually worse than it actually is. So a good question to ask is, hey, do you know what your credit currently looks like? Have you spoken to a lender? Most people will ask, are you pre-qualified? That's a decision. That's an outcome. That's a result. I want to soften it a little bit. Have you spoken to a lender? Have you been qualified with a lender? Hey, my preferred lender would love to provide you a personal and private consultation. Remember, they don't necessarily know who you are. So do you think they want to share with you their finances? No. But they would with a preferred lender. That's all you want to do. Hey, my preferred lender would love to provide you a personal and private consultation. When would be a good time for you guys to meet? Okay? Would it be beneficial for you to meet privately with my preferred lender to walk through the process? All right, let's go motivation. These are people that just feel like they're just browsing for years. Okay? You kind of get tired of it and you want to hear some great prompts or questions you can ask. Hey, I'm trying to understand your level of motivation or interest on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you want to do this, or 1, a lot has to fall in place before you can pull the trigger. Where do you fall? Here's my favorite in regard to motivation. What would be the perfect situation for you? If you could paint the perfect picture, what would it look like? Okay? If you could paint the perfect home, what would it look like? In a perfect world, how big does that backyard need to be? In a perfect world, do you want an open concept? Or do you want a dining room that's, detached from the rest of the first floor? In a perfect world. Okay? Self-esteem. Think about people that sit in that timeline of yours. They're in phase 1, they're in phase 2. Do they even think it's possible? Most people, again, like I said, think their credit's worse than they think. So I'd like to learn more about your situation and provide my expertise about the process. Are you concerned about the process of getting approved or actually just being approved? What worries you the most? Okay? 4 things: time, money, self-esteem, and motivation you need to be able to address. Let's say the time is now, they found the house, they're extremely motivated, but they don't have enough to put the 3% down. So you have to only address money, okay? You still want them back on your website, right? So when you get a lead, I teach this. It's not applicable right now, but I teach what to do on day 1, day 3, day 5, and day 7, both for buyers and sellers. But here's the whole key. When your buyers or your sellers are in phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3, where are they going? Are they going back online to other websites, your competition? Are they going to create new timelines with other agents? Or are they staying with you? The only way they stay with you is if your website has everything they need. It's got to have listings. It has to enable today's consumer to connect directly with you. Okay? Which means you have to be able to know how many people were on your website right now. If you don't, they're going back online to other sites. You have to know what homes they viewed, what homes they saved, what aisles they went up and down, what zip codes were important, what communities they skipped. You got to know that. Okay? My grocery store probably finds that I never buy anything in dairy. Okay? I'm a produce, fruit, and meat guy, right? Do you think I ever get coupons or specials about dairy? No. Okay? Because then that would force me to go somewhere else. Okay? Scott wants me to go back to my preferred lender would love to. Let me go to that real quick. And I also have, Scott, at the end of this, I have all of this in, you can call in, Scott, and I have all of this for you along with some scripts and emails. Let me go back to money. Yeah, all right. Hey, my preferred lender would love to provide you a personal and private consultation. When would be a good time for you guys to meet? I think the biggest thing here, Scott, is you have to address the process part, okay? People are afraid to go through the process. So you have to address what that process looks like. See, agents sometimes always ask this question, are you qualified? Are you pre-qualified? Well, that's the result, right? But what's going through my head? One is, I'm scared of the process. I don't know how long it is. I don't know everything I have to have. I don't even know if I can find it. Then, I don't want to face rejection. Okay? I don't want to face rejection, so I'm not going to ask those questions. The consumer doesn't want to face rejection. I got to go to this screen real quick, right? The consumer doesn't want to face rejection, so they ignore it. But as an agent, you should never ask, are you pre-qualified? How familiar are you with the process? Most people, Nancy, feel like their credit is worse than it actually is. How familiar are you with the process? Okay? Communicate that way. But here's the question. Where do you drive your leads? You got to get a contact management system and a website that's connected and it's integrated. That's how you win. If you don't have a contact management system that's integrated with your website, I'm not talking about a database. I'm talking about a contact management system that tracks, monitors all of the behavior that happens in your website. If you don't have that, you're going to lose. And I'd love to be able to help you with those things. Okay? I think I've probably hit this topic over the head a lot today. But the key here is to stay involved with your consumers and their timeline, regardless if they're in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It's all about your website. Okay? Okay. For those people that are happy with where their business is at, thank you for attending today's webinar. For those people who want to be a part of the exclusive program, which is the $1 Million Pipeline program, let me walk you through this. You probably have heard about the success of this program. It comes with 3 vital components. You get a guarantee of 20 leads each and every month to fill your pipeline. Plus, you learn how to generate 30 more from sources such as Craigslist, Twitter, Facebook, social media, print, mailing lists, and you learn how to increase your referrals each month. Then, this is all by industry experts does this $1 Million Pipeline program. It's 10 live weekly workshops, and it's all about 3 things. 1, leads, getting more people into your funnel with your leads. And then it's about engagement strategies. This is for all market leader customers. They can join the $1 Million Pipeline program. You get taught techniques to identify your leads' demographics, the timeline, what scripts to send, what emails to send. The last 2 weeks was focused on Craigslist. People were generating 25, 30, 40, 50 leads a week, all driven to their website because of these classes. Okay? It comes with that 7-day plan of attack to convert buyers and sellers. And for those people who want to average 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 transactions a month, here's your program. It's the $1 Million Pipeline program, currently in session 2. Okay? These are the sessions: creating the foundation, your 7-day plan of attack, generating 20 leads in 7 days with Craigslist. Next week, people love generating leads and establishing your brand via print. Okay? So for those people who are interested, Market Leader provides you with everything you need in your business. They provide you a guaranteed number of leads each and every month. They provide you those leads exclusive to one agent. Everything is mobile. Okay? Your website has everything we earlier talked about. Full IDX. All your market information is right there. Your websites will generate 30, 40, 50, 60 leads a month. Your websites will also be connected to a content management system that tracks and monitors all of the behavior that happens on your site. And guess what? You have 4,000 plus marketing materials. You have a full marketing center. And all the daily live trainings and webinars by real estate agents. Okay? More like workshops because they're together. So for those agents who are not happy with where their business is at and they want to thrive in today's hot market, okay, I encourage you to join the $1 Million Pipeline program, and it's inexpensive. It's free in June and only $99 in July and August to be a part of it. Okay? Comes with the website, comes with all the tools to generate those leads, comes with all the ongoing education, okay? And you can start developing that $1 Million Pipeline like so many other agents have as well. Here's the phone number. It's 888-820-4778. Why I thanked everyone earlier, because if you're happy with where your business is at a couple of minutes ago, then thank you for joining us. Okay? Call in and you'll get the scripts and the objections and the emails that we have created for you. So regardless if you're a Market Leader customer or not, call into the number and we'll provide you with all of those details. Okay? 888-820-4778. Who needs scripts? Who needs email templates? They're free. Call the number. Who needs consumer objections and how to handle them? Time, money, motivation, self-esteem. You need those things we talked about? Call the phone number, 888-820-4778, and they'll email them to you right away. Okay? 888-820-4778. Any other questions? I love that bullet up there, success, the achievement of something desired. The achievement of something desired. So you got to determine how successful do you want to be. Do you want 2 to 4 transactions a month? Guess how many leads you need? 30 plus. You want 5 transactions a month? Guess how many leads you need? Between 40 and 80. Okay, so join the $1 Million Pipeline program. It's only $99. 888-820-4778. So I want to be respectful for time. You want the emails and the templates and the scripts. There's your phone number. Just call in and say, hey, I just want the emails and the templates and the scripts. If you want to learn about the $1 Million Pipeline program, call the number, get your scripts, and then say, hey, what's this $1 Million Pipeline program? Why do so many people are a part of it? All right, take care, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.